Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be answering the question, how do you play with randoms on Apex Legends? Now afterwards, I'm using this as a spectating series episode because we're going to spectate afterwards and then see how everyone plays out once we get eliminated. And I'm using Watson because Watson can be very difficult because you're kind of, especially being in a support role, you are at the beck and call of your teammates. Now one of the most important things, especially when you're playing with randoms, is that it's good to kind of land safe. Especially earlier, I definitely dropped a little hotter, and it can be very difficult. And the reason why is because when you're playing with randoms, I always use this expression that it's like, speed dating, essentially. You don't know who you're playing with, you don't know their play style, and you need a few seconds to gather bearings on who's going to be slow and who's going to be fast. So let's go ahead and give that example here. So we can tell that maybe the ballistic over there is going to be a little faster than the Ash potentially. Now, also their legend choice can also give you information of whether they're going to be fast or slow. And keep in mind that moving fast and slow is also not a bad thing. Real quick, remember this series has a lot of commentary. We do spectate afterwards, and I'm going to do one full round just to really hit this concept as much as possible. But if you want it longer, be sure to comment down below. We can always make it longer again with 2 rounds instead. But just let me know. Now, it's important as you're looting that you have your, I guess you can call it your track, right? Of what loot that you're trying to grab and what you're trying to do. Once you're ready to go, let's say, for example, I was ready to fight and wanted a third party right away, then I could ping that I wanted to leave. Now, you kind of gauge from your teammates and say, okay, we're not done looting. Everything is still a little slow. That going slow gives you the bearings there. Now, if you want to move faster, what I recommend doing is that you pull ahead. Let's say I go over here and you start hovering and looking for information. If you start dishing out a bunch of damage, they'll move with you if you start getting, let's say, a knock. If you're not successful, most of the time, I'll be very blunt and honest, they're not going to move with you. Now, it also depends on what the type of fight that you're taking and the information that you have. So you're going to be the one that has to do essentially a lot of the work, and just always make the assumption that you're going to have to pull a lot of that weight initially just to find team success. And that's not a bad thing. I know the hard part when you're playing with the randoms is that it will feel just uncomfortable, the pacing. So I've already moved up and they moved towards my direction. And you see them on the mini map right there that they've already moved. And there's a suggestion, right? So pinging, and let's say they don't talk. Let's go ahead and give a little quick hello and see if they talk. Hey guys, how's it going? Little hello. Just doing a quick hello. Nice. A little kindness can go a long way. I mean, just treat people how you want to be treated. I know that kind of seems like it goes without saying, but you'd be surprised. Nobody necessarily wants to lose, and it's not like you're trying to fail your team, right? As long as they know that you have a genuine effort, I don't think anybody's going to be mad at you. And if they do, my recommendation is that, listen, everyone has a bad day, and just like you don't know what's going on with them, just like you don't know what's going on with, they don't know what's going on with your day either. So that's another tip. So the whole theme, remember the whole theme today is about playing with random. So essentially I'm scouting ahead. This wasn't looted up here. They're probably in Terraformer. A lot of teams died already. Early 12 squads. It's crazy. I'm down to push left if you guys want to.
There's a lot of people where I just pinged.
Okay, I'm down to go over. I can let me.
A lot of dead boxes. There's probably not a lot of people.
Oh yeah, true. Let me hit the console and then we'll know where to go. It's just simple suggestions, you know. I mean, this is literally the second game. The first one was a complete failure of trying to record this. And I wanted to feel authentic and raw of what you're looking at. So if you play slow, it's okay to play slow. Now, if you're playing slow and your teammates aren't moving, I'm the one who dropped us safe, okay? So I'm to blame. I could have dropped us hotter, but at the same time, this gives us a chance to garner some RP and play things out, right? Now, if you're going to do this, make sure that you're heading the console, that you're heading the resources best you can to make sure that you're not falling behind on any armor, which is probably the better thing about the current system, is that you worry less about falling behind. I know this is spectating, but it looks like we're probably going to do a little less spectating. So I apologize if anybody happens to get mad about that. I think, again, we just want to watch to the very end and then see how it plays out. And then I want to talk about, I'll probably show an MS Paint at the very end, just how I want that to kind of give some better examples. So being aware, I think one tip of just being aware, like I see one teammate moving, that I'm going to start moving with them, right? Yeah, moving. So they're doing exactly what I would have done, is moving forward, but make sure you don't get knocked. If you get pressured, that pretty much dispels confidence with your team. There's 10 squads remaining, meaning that the next fight that we take could be pretty isolated. But also we have resources in front of us. As long as you're just making a genuine effort to play together, even if you say your teammates are bad, they don't land a lot of shots, then you can land a lot of shots. Oh, look at that, they're fighting. They might be fighting and moving up. One knocked. Split damage, only done probably about 60. I didn't warm up today. 2 left, 1 right. Nice, moving up, moving up. Shoot. On me. It's a bloodhound. Bloodhound's back here somewhere. I'm moving up, my bad. I have to bat. I knocked one already. I'll help you in 2 seconds. Looking. He's still on height. I hear res.
Picking up. They're picking up right here.
Coming, I'm resing. If you res, I'll drop armor. I'm dropping armor. Here. Shoot. Sorry, I thought he was gonna res, my bad. I'm getting you. Oh gosh. Okay, he's up. Need to reload. Gen here. So the few things that's happening here, I'm trying to give him confidence and reinforce that I'm here for them, right? Just topping off. I don't know how many people are out there though. Climbing up the side of the roof. Alright, stay here. I don't know where she went. Oh, there she is. Dead.
Oops.
All dead.
Damn, alright, good job.
Armor swap on the ground for you. You can grab that, so you don't have to heal up all the way. There we go. So whether or not the armor swap is there, let's say that he got blasted or third partied. The reason why it's good to drop armors, and sometimes this miscommunication can happen, right? So let's break down essentially what happened there. What I might do is actually go back and freeze frame it, and then break down like all the positives in that fight. So that's what I'm gonna do after this, actually. But for now, we'll just keep rolling. I'll break down that in just a second. I'm going to use something new and see if it works. If it doesn't, then hey, I made a genuine effort. But you see how now we have good placement. We got 4 eliminations. We have KP. I can hit console. So even if you're not saying anything, sometimes pinging. This is why it's so, like, maybe they're not listening. But at the same time, information goes a really long way of what they're doing. Just even some positive words of reinforcement. Just saying, I have you. I'm late. Almost there. Gives them information that do they have to win their one. I'm not even like warmed up for the day, but I know that makes a big difference in terms of just finding teammates, you know, and just like dispelling confidence that you're there for them. I know it sounds silly, but hey, it really does go a pretty long way, even if you're struggling or whatever. But right now we're kind of in a holding pattern, right? We don't have to go anywhere. You could, in theory, kind of float out, right? But right now, I mean, with only 4 squads remaining, this is pretty much the end. I apologize that this isn't as much spectating as I thought it was going to be, but I guess I'll leave it the way it is because it's part of that series. And then watching till the end, maybe we just win, which is, I guess, would be kind of unfortunate. I guess we can go back and then do the review, and that'll be that for that. When you're in this period, this holding period, I know this can be one of the most boring things. What I recommend doing is just constantly scouting and looking at different angles that your opponents aren't looking at. So I've kind of already failed a little bit on that, but notice if they're looking these directions, what direction is not being looked at, and how can you cover that instead? And then kind of be very liquid. I think where I learned this skill set specifically was playing a lot of Battlefield. And it can be learned from playing other games, but it can help just by doing that. So, you know, I'm checking our backs. There's only 4 squads remaining. They're probably mostly outside of zone. And we're able to kind of just peek. And this is what I call, you know, at least working with your teammates and just maintaining pressure. I can always fence up, but I'd rather know where the next zone is. I guess I could just throw fences down. Using your utility, you know, building confidence, all that fun stuff. It really does go a long way. See, doors are blocked. We're kind of chilling. We're good. Loot bins are going to reset. Oh, yeah.
Here, dropship over there.
Yeah, it's a res.
Revive.
Want to push or do you want to hold?
I mean, we're pretty well centered in the zone.
Yeah.
Positioning.
I'm done. And the reason why, I mean, it's good to ask. Listen, some people will say, let's go. And if they don't want to go, let's say, here's a suggestion of what you can do. Essentially, what you can do is actually just like hover around it and then go take a peek. I'm gonna go take
There's a Kraber in that package.
I'm gonna go take a peek, yeah, just to look. I'm not gonna engage though. I'm not gonna just like full send. I'm just gonna go look, make sure they're not pushing up.
Yeah, okay, I see.
So just like moving up to that spot. I mean, also they're getting the care package, so hey, occupy space, very important. Crafting a bat first. Yeah, they're shooting each other. Oh, nice. I'm gonna come back for the supply bin, but they're shooting on the right mostly. So what you could do, let's say if I were to create a big opening here. I don't know, I guess I don't really see what they're doing.
I've achieved maximum power.
I just grabbed a Kraber too.
Oh my god, let's go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab one of those guns. Grab that, probably the flat line to be, or the R3 one to be honest. Sheesh, my team is gonna.
Golden R3, I'll take it.
I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna drop my other gun. Let's see here. That.
I say we just stay here and hold this down.
Yeah, I'm gonna go hit the console real quick so I know where it's ending. This is pretty much close to a dub, I think. As long as we hold.
It's only 3 squads, yeah.
Alright, hitting console. I know it's boring also to play this way. If you're aggro, like that's why I recommend like just moving up to that spot, right? You can move up here and maintain pressure, and if you get damage and a knock, then you move forward, and then you pretty much instill confidence for your teammates to like run over. That's the goal that I'm trying to teach you, is that sometimes, here's another tip, that just because the round is moving slower, it doesn't mean, and what I'm doing right now, I'm looking for light just to be transparent. It doesn't mean that the round is going to be bad. There was a saying that sometimes the worst IGL can be the best one because it's the most unpredictable path. Because it's unexpected that, oh, why would a team hold there? Or why would they do that? And then it surprises the opponent. So maybe being a good leader means that you're more predictable rather than being a quote-unquote bad one. Yeah, moving over. I'm going to put Jen in the center for us.
Last 2 squads are fighting.
Yeah, I can move up. Let's move up. You guys got Krabers. I'll move up on the far left. This will be talking about aggression because they got oh. Knocked one on the far right. Alright, they finished. Moving up. Oh, he's got a nice head glitch there. Here's Jen next to you. I got my ult down. You'll be okay. It's gonna be a hard hold. I need.
got ult too once we push up. I gotta have it. Put it.
Now it's literally just trying to create an opening if we can make one. Oh shoot. Oh wow. Oh crap. I got kidnapped by the ult. It's all good, it's all good. I'm batting. I was not expecting the ult. I screwed up. Pathfinder moved up. I'm batting. Crap. I knocked one though. It's okay. So that's kind of a, I mean, the gen, I think the ult, I meant to stay in the fight, so that's kind of the mistake there.
Damn. Good stuff.
Good game, guys. GG's. So let's break down that last fight a little bit, and let's break down one of the earlier fights, and then we'll kind of wrap up the video. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's talk about it. Now, what's crazy is I think that this portion of the video is probably the most important because we're actually going to break down moment to moment how to play with your teammates as well. So we covered high level. If you like this portion, just be sure to comment and let me know how we're doing on this. So let's go ahead and backtrack here. Let's go ahead and back right here and go ahead and pause. Let's break this down. The reason why this moment's important is that taking cover is key. And sometimes you may find cover that doesn't really exist. This cover right here is actually very important because my body is less exposed compared to my opponent's body, which is fully exposed on height. The information I've garnered so far is that it looks like they cleaned up this fight. That's my guess. Now, I was wrong, unfortunately. If we look at my teammates, I know that I'm technically playing entry because I am the one that's furthest up into the fight. So I technically have the most information, but I can also use my teammates to provide cover fire and deter opponents from essentially blasting me. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue on, and you're going to see the mistake and why information is always key, but sometimes you guess it wrong, and that's okay. I also want to put as much pressure as I can, knowing that you're never going to be a perfect player. I'm not a perfect player. I make lots and lots and lots of mistakes. I make lots of mistakes in my content. But I hope that if you step away from this video, what I always encourage in all of my content is that you take a step forward of becoming less angry and becoming more self-aware. So let's go keep playing out the clip. Now, I'm about to pause again because the same premise here is I'm trying to use cover and keep my body small. And I think they're all in front of me, but here's the mistake. Because when you get caught out, you're probably wondering, what am I supposed to do from there? Surprise! Let's break this down now. This opponent really came out of nowhere. There was 3 people over in this area over here, and my teammates are still technically behind me over here. Now, when you get caught out, I always think you need to have an emergency default plan. I could either go this way, or I could play over here, but the idea is that my teammates are essentially watching where I'm at. I need to make sure the cover that I take, my teammates are able to play off of me. Because if this person here decides to shove and even play out and fight me right here, then at least we're going at it at an open area. That's the key. And you'll see that play out here in just a second. Let's take a look. Now we're going to go ahead and pause again because somehow I don't even know where this Bloodhound went off to, but my teammates also use utility to go in. Let's talk about that. They use utility to go in, and while I was fighting my own little battle here, my priorities have to shift because my teammates are doing something else. I could have fought and looked around for the Bloodhound in any which direction, but that means I'm not playing with my overall squad. So I had an option, and I chose to go with my teammates here and fight with them, which is always better to play with your teammates than against them. And trust me, I've played with teammates when you're calming, say, I'm just going to go fight my one. And I've made this mistake a lot, and people who I've played with understand. Sometimes you just go for the superhero mode and try to clutch things out, and it doesn't always work, and that's okay. So being aware is always key, and so I essentially just run into this counter, and let's take a look. Now, what's interesting as we're moving forward here is this 1v1 I take, manage to clean it up, and I have one teammate down, but I know there might be still, you know, other opponents, so I go for reset. I do communicate that I'm healing, that I'm going to give support where I can, and we wait for a moment to strike. See, pings are important. Even though they're not saying a whole lot, there is information. We do hear a res, and I decide to pretty much go for it to try to clutch out best I can, which is also a little confusing because I think this is a full team, but of course it isn't because that Bloodhound was rezzing somebody, but there's still the other 2 that are back from an encounter. Let's go ahead and talk about the reset here as well and why resetting is so important. Resetting is key in terms of getting armor. I made the mistake here of saying I'm going to res and then change up what I was going to do by asking for somebody to res. It's always best to go with your first call. I was trying to do too many things at once, but giving armor is always very important because it helps the reset time if I can go for a box while they're trying to heal up just their flush and we can stay in the encounter. But having those resources is really key, so then we can essentially hunker down in this designated area right here and then look for information and stay together rather than having, let's say, somebody on the outskirts. Now I go for the res. Again, it's a mistake and it could always be a little better in communicating. I'm glad the Ash is holding. And we know that they're fighting there. Good tactical on the ground. But you see how now we're playing together and we're in this area? Communicating and giving the positive towards his teammate is just, it's so powerful, and it can really benefit your squad as a whole. Whenever there's just even some positive reinforcements, it's always better to play with somebody who's willing versus somebody who's unwilling and doesn't want to take any of the blame. I think it's always better to self-assess and try to take some of the blame on your end rather than saying, oh, it was just all my teammates, I couldn't have done anything. You can always do something to be better. Now, I take an alternate angle here and decide to flank because maybe they're at the door and look for another opportunity so we're not all peeking the same spot. Also, power numbers, you gotta have to decide whether power numbers is helpful. It did help me catch out this opponent here and then clutch out for the end. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna VOD review the very end of the fight where I also made quite a few mistakes. Also, quick little tidbit here, drop the armor. Still very valuable because I got another one off the box. Be supportive of your teammate. Now, what we're going to look at here is the end, because we did ultimately lose this. Now, in the moment, it's always good to look at it hindsight 2020. Now, the reason why I'm scaling over to the far left is because I want to try to create an angle that's different from my teammates looking at one specific, which does create this opportunity, but unfortunately, the fight has reset. It might have been a little bit more powerful because there's a downside to this. Let's go ahead and talk about it, being split from your teammate. This is harder to do on a legend like Watson, because when you're here, let's go ahead and break this down, some of the positives and negatives here. So while I'm over here, I have 2 of my teammates in this area, right? That means that if all 3 of them wanted to shove me, the positive is that my 2 teammates should in theory, be able to look for me while they're crossing if I'm holding, let's say, an angle over here. And if I decide to back up and run that way. The downside is if my teammates aren't looking for me, then I'm just going to get isolated out, and that's it for me. It's GG's, it's completely over. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But if we're all peeking the same side, it can be hard to traverse and make an opportunity, which I wonder if I just played my angle, if I was maybe able to find an opportunity here. Hindsight 2020, that is another option. When you think of this, you try to think of very different variables rather than retreating and backing up. And having a lot more trust for your teammates really goes a long way. Now, I do retreat to my teammates to kind of help them out, but I could have actually held a cross here, maybe hard anchor in this spot instead, rather than just going all the way back over here and kind of retreating back. But like this spot, because I would have seen if they were moving up a little better instead of just backing out, because my visibility here, while I was trying to find another way to angle them out, they essentially did a 3v2 on them because they found the opportunity. You see how I can't see the left side over here as much anymore, which really spells some downsides here, and that's why they're able to find that opportunity. And I was grenading out, but see, I would have been able to know that this happened over here on the left, which probably would have been much better. Now, my awareness here in this fight, let's go to just back up and just kind of break down how this really happened again. Because right here, it's like I gave up the power position, and it was pretty much entrusted in me. And granted, yeah, sure, they have 2 Kravers or whatever, but I'm here anchoring this spot to see their crosses, and they can technically hold for me, so there was no reason for me to go off on the other angle by myself. Now, because I did that, I was over here, but I pretty much had a bit of a wall, unable to see what was past it, which caused them to get run up on and caused the utility. And of course, it could have been a lot more aware as well, which ultimately led to the mistake and trying to push. Now, baiting back is really important as well. Maybe we could have collectively baited back and waited for them to run out in the open and make a mistake, which is also a really good tactic. If you want to talk a bit more about that, I can probably cover it more in a different video about just the power of baiting a team backwards to make a mistake. Because even if a team is 3-stack, you can always get them to make a mistake. If you enjoyed this content, and I know this is supposed to be a spectating episode, but then I realized, I was like, you know, this is a great teaching moment to turn into something else. And I hope that you guys found it helpful. Shout out to my 2 teammates. I think they were fantastic. I could have definitely played better in this scenario across the board. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know how you enjoyed the format. I'll see you guys all in the next one.